Let's edit an astrophoto. This one is the OIII Nebula. It's taken from my OIII city centre back garden, and I used a one-shot colour camera and 3 filters for this. On the left I used an L quad enhance, that's for RGB data, and this is just 1 hour of integration time that's gone into this particular one, just because we're interested in the stars, nothing else. This one's just for the stars, so we get accurate colours. Then this middle image here, I used an Optilong L Ultimate, which is hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3, a dual band filter. That's 20 hours of data. Lots of signal there because there's lots of hydrogen alpha. And then this third one, I used an ASCAR D2, which is a sulfur 2 and oxygen 3 dual band filter, and that's 20 hours of data as well. So what we're going to do is mix all of these up, put them together, and we'll end up with an SHO image with accurate RGB colour stars with a total exposure time of 41 hours. Now, the first thing to do is to make backups of all these. We're going to make clones of each of the 3 so that if we mess anything up, we can just go straight back. Just like that. My data is oversampled, so I'm going to use integer resample to bin 2 each of these. So L quad integrated first, downsample 2. This will give us a boost in signal to noise ratio. Then our L ultimate integrated, downsample by 2, and then our D2 integrated, downsample by 2. That loses us resolution, but we gain that back at the very end because we'll upsample by 2. Right, now we've done that, we can align these images because they're not exactly aligned at the moment. To do that, we can go to star alignment. Our reference image, well, let's use our L quad integrated, and our targets are going to be ultimate integrated and D2 integrated. I'm going to click on the circle, and then we have these 2 new images. Let's just do an unlinked screen transfer function so we can see what's going on. Great. We don't need that one, we don't need that one because we're replacing them with this and this. So we want them to all line up exactly, but we've got these black bars here. So to deal with that, we're going to go to dynamic. We're going to choose, actually we need to choose the one that's got the biggest black bars, which I think is our L ultimate here. We're going to go to dynamic crop. We're going to hold down shift. No, not shift, sorry, mistake. Going to hold down control and then move the mouse in. Holding down control will keep the aspect ratio, and we want to move it in so that we've just got the image selected and none of the black bars. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we want to apply this exact crop to all 3 images. So we're going to get the triangle. We're going to drag it over to this one first, then the triangle, and drag it over to this one, and then for the final image we just click the tick, and hey presto, we have our 3 images that are all perfectly aligned. Next we're going to run gradient correction. Now if we don't have particularly bad gradients, we're just going to use the default, so I'm going to run it on our ultimate there. Gradient removed, and there's not much of a gradient on our L quad. And we're not so fussed about that anyway because we're just using the L quad for the stars. There we go. There's a bit more of a gradient on the D2 though. And I'm not an expert in gradient correction, but I know that the worse the gradients, on my approach anyway, the worse the gradients, the lower you put the scale. So put it about there, and then the smoothness should about match. Let's go with that. And you can always try this multiple times just to see what works out the best. but I will take that. Now we're going to run image solver on each of these 3 images, and that will just give, where is it? Image analysis, image solver. That will give PixInsight lots of information that will be useful a little bit later. So image solver first on the L quad, and then on the L ultimate, image analysis, image solver, and finally the D2. Super, that's all 3 done. Next we want to run blur exterminator, which will help sharpen the image. It will help counteract the blurring effect of the atmosphere somewhat. My approach to do this is to use a manual PSF. PSF is the point spread function, which is kind of how distorted the stars are. So to find that out, we're going to do them one at a time. We're going to go to script render PSF image and click evaluate. We want to find the 2 full width half maximum values. We take one that's between the 2, let's just say 1.62, isn't it? And then we can open up blur exterminator and put in 1.62. I leave everything else as the defaults and then ping that over. And we'll repeat for L ultimate. So we need to do our PSF image evaluate. And then between the 2, about 1.61, isn't it? And finally, that same process for the ASCII D2 data. Between the 2, about 1.58, close enough. And now I'm going to make some clones of these and ping them over here, just in case we need to go back because we mess anything up. Okay, that's done, and I renamed them all Blur X because that was the last stage, the last thing that we've done to them. But now we are going to run SPCC, which is all about color calibration. Let's do our L quad first. This all looks fine. We need to select an area of background where there's kind of nothing happening to help with the background neutralization. And then we run that. Right, we get this pleasing graph, and it looks like it's messed everything up. It's just taken the screen transfer function off. We can delete our preview, and I don't want there to be any green in my stars, so I'm going to take that out. Now we're going to run the same process on this L ultimate data, but this is narrowband, and the L ultimate has bandwidths of 3 nanometers. That looks fine, and as before we need to find an area with kind of not much in it that we can say is our reference for our background. Super duper. And then last but not least, our ASCII D2. Not much happening there, that can be the background. Alright, looking good. I think I'm going to make backups of these as well, clones to ping over here, just because the next step is stretching, and sometimes that can mess up, so it's useful to have a backup you can go to quickly. Let's rename these then. Alright, that's done. To stretch this L quad data is very simple, so I'm just going to use Easy Stuff Stretch to make my life easy. L quad. Yep, leave everything default, run. Now we have a stretched image, thank you very much. Easy soft stretch. for these two, we can be a bit more involved about it. We can use GHS. Where is that gone? Here we go. Generalized hyperbolic stretch, which will give us a bit more detail in the nebulosity. So we need to take off our screen transfer function, and we're going to click on the little circle to get us a real-time preview. And we're going to do this in a few stretches. Just a first initial stretch. You don't do it all in one with this tool. And there are tutorials out there for how to do this better than I'm doing it. I'm just doing it really quickly. Just playing about with it. It's really good that you have this real-time preview. So even if you don't fully understand everything that's going on, you just play about until it looks better. Oop. PixInsight's having a bit of a wobble there. Never mind. Okay, let's just go with that for now to keep things speedy. And then we're going to do the same with our D2. It's trickier with this one just because there's not so much data there. But I will take that. I'm going to make backup clones of those 3 stretched images. Here we go, definitely getting there. What we're going to do next is deal with the stars, because we want the stars from this image because they're the true color stars. We don't want stars in these two. So I'm going to use StarNet 2. I need to make a clone of this one. We've stretched our data so it's not linear anymore, and I need to remove the stars from here. And I want to find a very neat little function, I think it's in utilities, yeah, called screen stars. We want star removal. So our star review is our L-quad integrated. Sorry, I mean L-quad easy. And our starless view is L-quad easy clone 1. I'm going to click OK. And then we get just the stars. This is good. This is all we want. We don't want this. We don't need this anymore either. We just want the stars. Now I like to give the stars a bit of a saturation boost. It's my personal preference, but I think the stars look a bit anemic normally. So just for aesthetics, it's hard to see. There's a tiny little yellow dot there. I'm going to move that all the way up to the top, and then click on the square to apply, and then I'm going to move it about halfway up and give it another boost. Maybe that's a bit too much. Just do it by eye, see what you like. Okay, then we'll have some nice vibrant stars. And we're going to put that aside, and we'll next need the stars very close to the end of the whole process when we put the stars back in. Now we do not want stars in either of these two images, so we can simply remove them. And the same for the D2. Let's rename these starless and make backup clones. Now, at this point, you might like to make a few tweaks to these two images. You can play about with curves and things, but let's just do the next step and see what comes out. So we want to go to Utilities and DB Extract, and this is going to split these into the hydrogen alpha sulfur 2 oxygen 3 channels and then mix the results up into an SHO image. So our hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3 filter, that's our L ultimate, so this is ultimate starless. And our sulfur 2 oxygen 3 filter, that's our D2 starless. Let's click extract. And this is our result. Pretty neat. It looks very green, but don't worry, it normally does. That's because the SHO Hubble palette applies hydrogen alpha to the green channel, and there's loads of hydrogen alpha in our data. So that's very common. But it doesn't look too pretty, does it? It looks a bit acidic. So to deal with that, let's close these ones. We don't need these. Put these away. And you know the drill. Let's make a backup of that. Then we're going to use narrowband. No, we're not. It's not that one. Sorry. We're going to use selective color correction. Sorry, my mistake. It's narrowband normalization that we need first of all, because we need to normalize out these colors, don't we? So I've input some settings here. I just had to play about. You just move these sliders, see where you think it looks good for you, and then we apply. Then we want another clone of that, and then we do our selective color. This is a very neat little function here. So we can select what mask we want up here, and that will just affect those color ranges. So at the moment, for example, we've just got red selected, and we can just play about with our different sliders, but it's not a real-time preview. Oh no, sorry. It is a real-time preview, and if we want to flick back to the original, we can click that one. If you want to deselect any of these, if you want them to go back to their defaults, then you can just press those buttons. So really, you play about here, you can change your masks and then see what looks good. So I just selected the yellow mask because this area was predominantly yellow, and I've shifted the cyan down in particular to help make it look a bit more of a fiery red. And we can do this with all the different colours, but also we can do it with the different parts of the histogram, like the shadows or the midtones. I forgot, before you move on to a different mask, once you've made the tweaks you want, it's important to click the apply button here. And that's going to make those changes to your main image. And then you can select a different mask. If you select a different mask before you click apply, then it will wipe the tweaks that you made. Let's quite a lot of dust in the background of this image, so I've just gone to the shadows and made a few tweaks here, and I'll apply those. And it's a good idea just to spend quite a bit of time trying different things to get a result that you like. Once that's done, you can close this, and we have our image that should have some nicer colours. Next, there are quite a few things that we can do to improve this. So it's getting quite noisy, so I think a bit of noise exterminator. I'm going to run that now. Let's run it at 0.6, which is quite a lot. It's cleaned up a bit of the noise. I think we can sharpen our image a little as well. But I don't want to sharpen all of the background, I just want our main nebula to be a bit sharper. So what I'm going to do is use range selection, and I'm going to make a mask that just selects kind of the shape of the nebula. Yeah, that'll do. And I'm going to apply this mask to the image. So that when we make changes, for example using local histogram equalization, it will just apply it to that nebulosity and not all this background. So we'll give it just a little boost. Before, after, before, after. And then my favourite unsharp mask. Really sharpens things up. Easy to overcook it on this, and I do have a tendency to do that. But I like my images to be as sharp as I can get them. Yeah, that's you see, we're getting all this grain coming in, but I don't mind a bit of grain. This is also an opportunity to play about with colours even more if we wanted to. We can boost our nebula a little. We can play about with particular channels, but I'm going to leave that for now. But I think the background's a little bit bright, so what I'm going to do is invert my mask. So now it's not the nebula that we're going to be affecting, it's everything else, it's all the background. And then let's bring that down a bit, darken it. And we'll take the mask off and run a dark structure enhance as well. Just a little bit. I like this one, makes it pop. There we go, just around about there. Now there's loads more that we could do, and I'm doing this quite quickly of course, and we can play about with the colours a lot more and all that kind of stuff, but the video is getting quite long, so what I'm going to do is just put the stars back in now. So to do that, we go back to screen stars. We're going to do star replacement. Our starless view is called SHO, and our stars are called stars. Looks good. Very nice. And if the stars are a bit overpowering, which I think they might be in this particular instance, then what we can do is use these particular little features here, more Bill Blanchard Micranfeld scripts, thank you guys, for star reduction. And once we've done that, we can use one of these methods. I think that method 1 should work quite well for this. Just take those stars down a bit to help the nebula pop. But okay, a useful thing to try as well is correct magenta stars. Just see what effect that has on our view. It cleans it up a little bit, some of the pink that was shining through that we didn't necessarily want. Sometimes it has a good effect, sometimes not. It's up to you. And what I'm going to do is select this view, which is called starry, and we're going to upsample it so we get that resolution back that we lost at the beginning. There we have a nice high resolution image. Every time you do this, it'll turn out a bit different because just how you move the sliders and things affects the final result quite a lot. So this doesn't even look massively the same color-wise to my previous attempt, which I'll show you in a second. But it is good to just have a play, try different things, and see what works for you. Thank you very much.